Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're well. Today I wanted to show you how I'm going to transform this very tired, standard, greasy looking steering wheel into something that looks this good, and it's something that you can do at home in your car yourself. So the product is from a company called Arkyay. So I'll do a quick unboxing just to show you what you actually get in the box itself. We get a little pouch with various bits and bobs in. We get some thread, and there is plenty of it, and needles. You get a little prizing sort of plastic tool to press in all the material into the grooves. We get some 3M double-sided tape and one of these little thimbles that looks like a crown on my finger. Then we come to the product, which just when taking it out felt really nice. I went for perforated leather at the sides, Alcantara at the top and bottom, and I think it just gives a really nice sporty feel. The underneath feels really high quality, all the stitching looks great. Now onto the fitting. So the first thing I wanted to do is just make sure I gave it a really good clean. I'm using this Mild Deep Refresh. It's got like antibacterial properties in. So I'm going to saturate this microfiber and just give everywhere a really good clean. Then we're going to move on to the 3M tape. Basically you want this to go as close to the thread as possible. You don't need it in the center. Right, so as you can see, I've done all the 3M double-sided tape. I've tried to go as close to sort of the stitching as possible, because obviously this is going to have tension against the outside of the steering wheel, but tried to get close to the stitching. So obviously once I start doing the stitching, each time I do a section I can peel that off. And make sure you take note of, you've got an F and a B, which will be for front and back. So I'm kind of at that stage now where I need to get this on and get it adjusted and get started. Right. Try and get it underneath and stretch. Okay. Now I can tell it's not central. Okay, well that looks quite central here along the bottom. So if I just zoom in, I'm just sort of showing that. That looks quite central there. But just try and zoom in, if you can tell you've got the stitching on the inside of there, what I'm trying to do is just make sure that once that's pinched, that lines up with the stitching of the OEM, the original stitching, to make sure it's as central as possible. So what I want to do is I'm going to use their little prise tool, and I'm going to tuck in from the bottom, and I'll start doing the bottom sections first. So let's remove the 3M tape. Then this is where I went ahead and used that plastic tool and just pressed the fabric into the plastic trim on the steering wheel. The next step is getting the sewing done. So supposedly, when I messaged them, what you're supposed to do is you do about 3 to 4 times the length of where you're going to be stitching. So that's probably about there. So that's like 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to do a bit more for good luck. So let's get that through there. What I need to do is I need to pass the needle through here to come out the sort of back side, as I'm calling it, and then create a little knot in the thread here. Maybe do a few knots just to make sure it's on the inside, and then snip off the excess thread, and then that way I can start sewing from there. So I'm just going to do that now. Not sure how well that camera's going to pick it up, but there's my knot. I've pulled the thread through the other side. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over the top, then I'm going to pass through this loop, and then I'm going to go underneath this one to the first sort of bit of stitching on the other side, go underneath, back over, and then underneath that one, over and underneath that one, under and over. So I'll do a few and then you'll see what I mean. Now, unfortunately, when I went to film this, I basically covered up the actual bit that you needed to see. But thankfully, Arkyay have their Facebook group and Instagram full of videos, and this is a much better close-up, detailed view of exactly how the thread needs to go sort of over and under, and that'll hopefully give you the gist of how you need to sew it. So if the camera picks that up, so there's my first few stitches. Now I'm going to make sure I tuck in the rest of the fabric underneath this trim piece before I continue stitching the rest of this. And then, yeah, I'll just keep going. So this is what I've done up to now. But I'm going to try and do a little bit more of this stitching and then I can get that tucked in. But that's looking really nice up to now. Right, I'll be honest. I tried to do a knot on the underneath of the last stitch. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't understand how to do a knot. So I just kept kind of going through a few of the eyelets in and out. And hopefully that's going to be enough. So I'm just going to try and tuck it in. Then just getting back onto the sewing, and what I wanted to do is to show you this clip was every now and again, sort of every inch or two, I went back and I would tighten up the threads. So this was the technique that I used just to close the gap and make it a lot tighter. Then when we did get to the final step, the very last sew, you've got to make a knot in the end. I tried to capture this, but I'll be honest, it was actually really tricky. Then again, using the plastic trim tool piece, just press in the fabric as much as you can into the grooves. And there we have it, there's the end result. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. It took me about 5 hours in total. I love the combination of the perforated leather and the Alcantara. The perforated leather on the kind of hand grips feels really nice. So does the Alcantara, it feels really high quality. It's really uplifted the interior of the van. Because of the thickness of the material over the top of the original steering wheel, it has a nice soft feel to it. Just listen to this ASMR. I'll show you a few before and afters of each area just to see the difference. And I think you'll all agree the transformation is amazing. What's really cool is because of the extra material over the top of the original steering wheel, you get a chunkier, sportier feel. I absolutely love it, highly recommend. And I actually have a discount code now special to all my followers, which is Andy10. I'll flash it up on screen, it'll be in the description. So if you use that code, you'll get yourself a nice 10% discount. Comment below on what you think of this mod. Is this something that you are going to do? As long as you've got a bit of patience, then there's no reason why you can't do this yourself. So thanks all for everyone for watching. See you again soon. Bye.